Matt, you may begin.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's Matt Riccozzi from Noble Systems. I want to welcome you here this afternoon, and for some of you, it's still early in the morning. I'm a sales account manager for Noble Systems. My background's about 20 years in the call center industry in both operational and technical, and I've spent about the last 3 years now with Noble Systems. What we'd like to do on the session objectives today is really talk about the industry trends, what is hosted, some of the business benefits, communication as a service, disaster recovery, interactive messaging, workforce management, as well as speech analytics. What is hosted CaaS? Let's take a look at some industry trends first. Adoptions that are currently taking place in the contact center in the cloud is certainly increasing. If you take a look, most folks right now at 73% are looking to improve agent performance through training and coaching. And then the second piece that's the highest percentage is the number of adoptions of contact center applications in the cloud. If you go to the bottom of the slide, you'll take a look at the number of the percentage of those folks investing in new on-premise-based systems. So right now today, literally two out of every three, or 2 out of every 4 are moving forward with cloud-based solutions. Let's talk about some of the communications as a service terms. We're going to talk about on-demand, certainly the hosted. What does the cloud mean? The difference between customer-based premise equipment as well as hosted-based equipment, software as a service, the CaaS service, application service providers, and customer premise-based equipment and cloud-based equipment. This diagram is a typical premise-based setup where you'll have the PSTN, which is typically your long-distance provided service, and your international provided service from a telecommunications perspective. You normally have some sort of network routing, and then you have various premise-based components, whether it's at-home agents, traditional call centers, outsourced call centers, or third-party outsourced call centers. When we move into communications as a service or a hosted platform, what we do is we actually collapse these various components on the premise-based piece, and that now moves into a communications as a service, or in this particular component within Noble Systems. You'll notice on the left-hand slide, you'll have the capability of running work-at-home agents utilizing the internet or a VPN solution. Your traditional call centers and your outsourced call centers have the capability of running through an MPLS network, and your outsourced call centers are running through an MPLS or a VPN. Those are just networked, both voice and data paths. Let's talk about communication as a service benefits. It requires no capital expenditure. Right now, the vast majority of people and the decision makers are typically at the CIO and the CFO level. So your finance folks, as well as your technology folks, are evaluating whether or not it makes sense to actually put premise-based equipment into a call center environment. So when we talk about CapEx, that's capital expenditures versus OpEx, which is operational expenditures. What it allows you to do is you now have predictable monthly payments that come out of an operating budget, as opposed to the vast number of cost centers associated with operating out of an actual data center. One of the other benefits that you'll see is the access to latest technology and software. You have the capability of moving very quickly into new features on implementation cycles, whereas in the past it may have been a long, drawn-out project management experience. This benefits your business users very quickly because they have the capability of implementing very fast, doing their testing, and then deciding whether or not they want to move on. It also allows you to incorporate the innovations in the latest releases of software. In many instances, many companies are 1, 2, maybe even 3 releases back on software, and a lot of that has to do with all the other various components behind the scenes, the various servers, and all the other functionalities that is required to move to the latest version of software. One of the other cost reductions is no IT support or data center. You very quickly come to realize that if you're not actually hosting your own premise-based equipment, the cost from a power perspective and all the environmentals that are required for a data center are significantly reduced, and the number of staff from an IT perspective is significantly reduced also. Additional benefits: you have business continuity and disaster recovery. You have the capability of expanding for current premise-based deployment. You can reduce your overall capital expense costs and immediately meet your end customer requirements, opening up new business opportunities. The capability of being on demand and scalable and flexible. The elasticity of the purchasing model, you have the capability of scaling up or scaling down as needed. And there's also hybrid deployment that take advantage of current premise infrastructure. So when we talk about hybrid, I think it's very important to understand most call centers have peaks and valleys within the year or within the quarter or within the actual month, where they may be paying for additional telecommunication costs or other system costs when it's actually not being used at that time. You have the capability within a hosted environment to turn up feature functionality or capacity as needed. You also have the capability, if you have a premise-based solution, to move into a hybrid deployment. So if you currently are on a premise-based solution, but you just need that expanded capacity just for a short period of time, rather than moving forward with additional purchases on servers or additional circuits, you have the capability of merging that hybrid or that premise-based solution with additional resources in the cloud. It also provides for on-demand geographical distribution. You can immediately deploy remote call centers without having to work through necessarily interoperability between those call centers from a network or data perspective. You can exploit different labor markets very quickly. So if you believe that opening up a call center in one geographic region versus another, you have the capability of bringing that up very, very quickly. And you certainly have the capability of immediate work-at-home capability. From an adoption perspective, the time to implement is substantially quicker also. Global Systems, we're award-winning field tested and a proven product. We've received several awards. I think it would be a good point right now just to kind of stop for a second and discuss what the differences are in the hosted product offerings that are out there in the world today. Global Systems literally takes the current premise-based solutions that we have and we host those in the cloud so that the user, the frontline managers or the administrative users or even the agents, there's no difference between the platform on whether it would be hosted or whether it would be premise-based. They would continue to move through their work environments as if nothing else was different. The key to that is that from a premised or hosted solution, you still have complete control over the entire system and not having to pick up the phone if you wanted to change campaigns or change scripting or change any of your IVR, ACD, or predictive calling methods. We provide both a complete enterprise solution as well as various point solutions in the hosted environment. We provide predictive dialing, automatic call distribution, IVR, messaging, recording, agent workflows through our Composer model, and our management and reporting through our Maestro model. We also provide workforce management solutions in the cloud also. Let's talk about some of the terms that I may have just rattled off. The Composer web agent, it's 100% browser-based, and it's a scripting and workforce management tool that the agents interface with as they're working. That particular tool has the capability of interfacing with other third-party CRM applications or any other system-based information tools that those agents need for just-in-time advantage. Certainly a competitive advantage in the environment. Maestro is your administrative user campaign setup. It also provides real-time and historical reporting. And we also just recently rolled out over the last 2 years a complete web-based management infrastructure for both managers and supervisors so they can literally work around the call center using a smart device, whether that's an iPad or an Android device. True blended communications, I think, are extremely important in today's world. For those people that are running both inbound and outbound, we utilize a per-call treatment in the blending environment so that there's not additional equipment sitting between an inbound or an outbound platform. We offer IVR and text-to-speech for both inbound and outbound messaging. We also offer advanced skills-based routing. We do 100% voice recording, and we have multiple quality assurance management tools, including voice analytics. Our workforce optimization product, ShiftTrack, provides both scheduling and adherence software for both inbound and outbound. Noble's infrastructure would be your standard backup and redundancy that most call centers, at least at the enterprise level, would be looking for. Data backup, generator and UPS, firewalls, redundant servers, mirrored drives, dual power supplies, and dual network interface cards, dual data centers, and multiple paths for both power, connectivity to long distance, and those internet providers. And certainly, we keep everything nice and cool. From a certification perspective, many folks are very interested from a security perspective. Not only are we PCI compliant, but also the data security standards and SSAE 16 engagement, or the attestation engagements. We maintain these certifications in an ongoing program, and we certainly welcome the security folks that are in the IT divisions to certainly ask every question out there, and we meet or exceed those standards. Hosted disaster recovery. In many environments right now, you may have a call center. However, your disaster recovery plan may not include a secondary data center, if you will, where if you were to lose that data center or it was no longer inhabitable, that you would be dead in the water. You have the capability of running a premise-based solution and a hosted disaster recovery solution. So it's not necessary that you move necessarily immediately off your premise-based solution and have the redundancy that's inherent to a hosted solution, but we are seeing an awful lot of organizations that are moving forward from the premise-based solution, and as opposed to opening up their own secondary data center, is opening up the CaaS solution for their disaster recovery. We can also customize that disaster recovery. What we typically do is we'll sit down with our engineering staff as well as with the operational and the IT folks and those individuals at a customer's premise. We're looking at disaster recovery, and we're looking at what is it that you are looking for from a disaster recovery scenario, whether it's a complete or partial disaster recovery. We look to leverage both your existing premise solutions, not so that we're not moving away from maybe some expenditures that you're already hanging on to very tightly, but also taking a look at the Noble CaaS infrastructure. We also have the capability of leveraging multiple data centers. Elastic capacity, or the hybrid model. This is actually just a phenomenal idea, and wish it had been around 10 or 15 years ago. We had talked earlier on in the conversation where you may have peaks and valleys, and you're looking for some elastic capacity for a given growth spurt or a peak in your environment, and as opposed to adding additional servers that may not necessarily be used throughout most of the year, or not using the telecommunications circuits that you're typically paying a monthly fee for. You have the capability of adding additional telephony to your premise-based system so that it is what we call the easy button, so that you have the capability, and when you're looking at your system, both from an administrative and a user capacity, all you're seeing is additional telephony equipment that gives you the capability of logging in additional agents as well as taking additional calls. There's no additional purchases required. It's an on-demand agent and line capacity. You have the capability of controlling all your campaigns, your IVR recordings, text-to-speech, and you have complete visibility to the entire system. It improves customer service and sales, certainly covers your seasonal patterns as well as your influx of work-at-home agents. Hosted workforce optimization and speech analytics. This is typically new in the environment from a hosted perspective. This can be a standalone hosted, or it can be combined with both the inbound and the outbound platforms. What we provide on the hosted workforce management is the exact same feature and functionality set that we provide on the premise-based equipment. We cover personal data management, schedule development, skills-based scheduling, availability and management, both the inter-day management and contact forcing, forecasting, agent forecasting, shift optimization, lead management, back office optimization, as well as scheduling and outbound campaigns. The speech analytics piece is literally changing the way people look at quality assurance. We have the capability utilizing not only our digital recording system or any third-party digital recording system, and have the capability of copying those recordings from the consumer's premise-based equipment to the mobile CaaS. We take those recordings and we ingest them. We analyze the recordings based on industry-specific metrics and criteria, and then we turn around and we provide those results back available back on the next day. We're seeing a huge uptake on this particular piece, particularly as it comes to compliance, as well as the capability in upselling scenarios within customer service and marketing. Right now, I'd like to take a second. I noticed that there were a couple of questions that came in while we were on the phone. One of the questions is, what is the comparable difference from a cost perspective on premise-based versus hosted? I think it's very important to understand that in the hosted and the premise-based world, there are different costs that are associated. And the best analogy I like to use there is the difference between purchasing a car and maybe leasing an automobile. Over the period of time, and as you have rapid developments within software as well as in hardware, most organizations are switching out their hardware every 2 to 3 to 4 years. There's also the additional costs associated with premise-based solutions and the background staff that are required to run those. So my recommendation is contact your account manager and let them go ahead and work through the facts and figures. For those greenfield environments where you may not necessarily have a call center right now, we're seeing a huge opt-in moving towards the CaaS solution as opposed to the premise-based. For those organizations that are running very large volumes and have multiple data centers and multiple call centers, we're seeing a very high uptake on the elastic capacity as maybe some of those data centers are either being downsized or eliminated. I also had one other question. I currently have a premise-based solution with mobile system. How easy is it to move to the hosted application? The neat part here from a premise-based and a hosted base is that the systems literally are identical. We're using our current Symphony platforms within our hosted enterprise. And as individuals are looking to move from the premise-based solution to hosted, we have the capability of literally moving that data and those configurations right into the hosted enterprise and allowing our customers to go ahead and move into that enterprise. Again, I'd recommend that you contact your account manager to let them work through the specific numbers and how that project management piece would work. And I see no other questions. I'm going to go ahead and end the presentation. I want to thank you very much. If you have any further questions, please contact us at info@noblesys.com and have a pleasant day.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's conference call. You may now disconnect.